You're listening to the Uplevel Your Online Business Show, where wealth is empowering, purpose is crucial, and high vibes are non-negotiable. And now, here's your host, certified business coach and practical woo strategist, Sarah J. Loureiro.
Hey beauty, did you know that I just opened up some spots to work with me one-on-one? As an exclusive one-on-one business coaching client, you will get access to pretty much everything that I release this calendar year. So including my mastermind, including the amazing fully booked formula. If this is your year to finally up-level your business to the income and impact that really pushes you beyond your wildest dreams, we need to talk. You can book a free call with me to see if you're a good fit from the link bit.ly//let's talk success. That's uppercase L, uppercase T, uppercase S. Or you can head over to my website at sarahjloureiro.com/workwithsarah to find out more. All right, guys, welcome back to another episode of the Uplevel Your Online Business Show with me, Sarah J. Loureiro, certified business coach and practical woo strategist. And I'm really excited to be on here today and to talk about some really, really vulnerable things with one of my own clients and just an amazing, amazing mentor to her clients, Jessica Kutok. So, hey, Jess, how are you?
Hey, I'm doing really, really good. It's been a busy couple of days, but I'm doing good.
Awesome. Yes. And so Jess and I thought it would be really interesting to kind of come on here and talk about the fear that comes with investing in your business and just kind of what is possible for you after you invest and kind of just like what you should look for when you're really looking to up-level your business and really and fully, like take your dreams on with all your might. So thank you so much for being here. Why don't you share a little bit more of your story? Because I feel like a lot of people really connect to everything it is that you say.
Yeah, well, first of all, I just want to say thank you for having me. I'm super excited to be here. So when I I guess I'll take it like way back. I'm a copywriter by trade, and now I am a business coach. And when I first started dabbling in entrepreneurship, it came from copywriting. And that was something that I thought that I really liked to do. And I managed to be able to leave my 9 to 5 through my earnings on that. But I just didn't love it. So I ended up going back to the 9 to 5. And my hours were just all over the place. Like I was feeling really suffocated and like stuck and honestly kind of depressed. And I honestly just found coaching through like an ad. Like that's how it all came. I didn't even know that a business coach was a thing. And I'm like, oh my God, like that seems perfect for me. And I spent a couple of months just sort of like looking into it because I wasn't really like sold on that yet. Like I was still learning about it. Mm-hmm. And then, I was like, this is actually something that's perfect for me. This is something I feel like I'm meant to do because I love helping people. And honestly, I've always just sort of been somebody that people come to for advice anyway. And I've had like informal meetings with like friends before to help them with their businesses and just seemed like a perfect fit. So I'm a total doer. So of course I went in with both feet thinking that when I put up my social pages and my website and everything like that, based on all the freebies that I downloaded, it was just going to work. Like I would have clients lining up out the door to work with me because that's what I was sort of led to believe. I don't know if that's just me being naive or if that's just how a lot of freebies make it seem. I'm not really sure. But I was pretty disheartened when I realized it wasn't actually that easy. And so when I like opened my doors, I'm doing quotation marks, I had nobody wanting to work with me. And I spent hours and I was up to like 2 a.m. just trying to figure out how to make everything work. And it was really exhausting. And I was getting discovery calls, but they were honestly, like, this sounds bad, but they were like such a waste of time. because I didn't know how to qualify people. Like, I didn't know how to bring people who actually wanted to work with me on calls, and I didn't know how to convert them into clients. So I just had a lot of people like essentially taking advantage of me for free information, which is kind of my fault because I didn't really know what I was doing. And it was just like kind of a mess, to be honest. Do you want me to like keep going or?
Yeah, I think this is so relatable for so many people because I started my first online business about 4 years ago and I went through the exact same thing. It's so funny how everyone's stories are just so similar and you're there and you're stuck and you're just like, I thought all of these free things would be enough for me. I thought that, I started all of this stuff with all of this confidence, right? And when I started 4 years ago, I wasn't a business coach. I was actually doing yoga and wellness coaching, and I was so excited about it. And I had, I had a few in-person clients that I managed to get by referrals at that point in time. I was really excited to go into the online space, and it was just, the same type of thing. I'm going to put my stuff up on my website, but then I'm not going to share it with everyone at all, ever.
Yeah.
People are just going to magically find my website somehow through the interwebs and find this page and be like, I just really want to work with her. That was my strategy. And it's so funny how much you allow yourself to kind of go through that until you have your breaking point. I think you had a really amazing breaking point, and obviously there's so much that happened after that. So why don't you share all of it, because I feel like it's so inspiring.
Yeah. So obviously I mean, I'm working with you now. And that is really like what shifted. So when I finally decided like I was done struggling, like I couldn't do it anymore because it was just completely burning me out. I had been following a whole bunch of coaches for a while. Like I had been on like a million different people's email lists, but like I knew that when I was going to hire a coach, or if I was at the time, I knew it was going to be you, just to butter you up a bit here. But it's true. So basically, like when I finally decided, okay, like enough is enough, I know that I really want to make this work. Like I knew that I was made for more, and I knew that I couldn't be stuck in this 9 to 5 anymore and just feel trapped. And I knew that I was wasting my own time, money, and energy. So I was going to hire a coach, and that coach was you. And then we had like one meeting, I think. And that week, I ended up booking my first 2 high quality clients. So that was super, super cool for me because I was like struggling for so long. And then I get on one call, and it was like essentially it changed my entire business. And then I believe it was like maybe 2 weeks later, because it was in 1 month that I booked 4 clients. So I think it was a couple weeks later, I brought on another 2 clients, but I had raised my prices then too with those other, like the next 2. So I was already like scaling up, and then I booked another 2 and another 2. And now I have a wait list until October.
Which is amazing. It's so incredible. Cool. And I remember when right before we started working together, you were like, I've been struggling to get clients at all. And I remember that you were even like posting to Instagram and posting to Facebook groups, and you had signed on one client at like 70% of your original price. And I was like, no. We're not only going to stop signing clients at 70, like at an extreme discount, we are going to raise your rates. And I think at the time you were like, okay, like, I don't know about this, but I'm just going to trust you.
Yeah.
and then, like, exactly what you said, within like a month you had signed on 4 clients at 2 different price points. And I love when that happens because it's a sign that like you we're just so done with struggling. And it's not just a doing thing, right? Like, I really do think this is also an energetic thing,
Yes.
Of, allowing yourself to receive, right? So allowing yourself to receive support, and by allowing yourself to receive support, your game just completely changes as well, right? It's no longer about this like whole desperate thing. Now it's about like, I'm learning from someone, it raises your own confidence. And I feel like that was half the battle for you.
Totally. And actually, that kind of reminded me of something I wanted to say earlier, because you mentioned that I was posting all the time. I was posting before when I was struggling still, I still post like every day. But back then I was posting every day. But the thing is I didn't know what I was doing, and I wasn't doing it properly. And like you say, like, you can do all you want. Like, you can post every single day for like a year and still not see any results if you're not doing it like strategically and with the right mindset. And that really does like make all the difference. Like, if you don't have like a client avatar mapped out, for example, like, you're going to struggle. If you're going in feeling desperate, you're going to struggle. So it's super important to like learn, like, if you're going to be posting every day, you need to be like learning how to do it essentially with a plan. Like, you should never just be guessing and hoping for the best.
Right. Exactly. And that's why there are so many people who, their businesses are really, and I talk to you guys a lot about this because for everyone who's listening, Jess actually initially invested in my mastermind, and then we grew to work together one-on-one because there's just so much more support there. But we talk about this a lot in the mastermind, where a lot of online business is smoke and mirrors, right? So you'll see a lot of people posting things, but are they really getting to where they want to be? You'd be surprised sometimes at how many businesses are completely hollow because they're doing, right? And this is what we talk about all the time. They're doing, right? So you can be doing work, you can be hustling your way around everything. But if you're not doing strategically, it's kind of like you said, right? Like, you probably looked like you had the perfect business from the outside because you were posting every day. You were getting on calls, right? But you weren't converting at the end of the day. Like, you weren't making any money in your business. And if you're not making money in your business, then you have to, you have to question the fact of, like, is this actually a business? For me, something that's really, that this really goes back to me. I don't know if you remember, like your university or college days, but I remember in high school, I was, I was such a good student, like a straight A student. Everything like came super, super easy to me. All of a sudden I came into university and it was a completely different ballgame. And I remember I took psychology as one of my first year courses, and I remember so we had 4 big exams for that course. And the first exam, and all 4 exams were like equally, like they were like an equal percentage of our grade. So essentially, like, if you do badly on those exams, you're going to do really, really badly in the course. Yeah. So I remember like studying, and I'm going to put studying in quotation marks because I think this is the exact same thing. I remember studying every single day. Like, I spent hours and hours in the library, like reading information from my psychology textbook. And then I went and I did all of my exams. I think they were called like my first quarter exams or something, my midterms. And I was so excited because I was like, I'm this straight A student, right? Like, I'm going to do so well because, I'm studying, I'm putting all of this time into it, right? I'm being the good girl. And so many of those exams came back, like, just like with really, really discouraging numbers. Like, I think one of my exams came back like a 50 something %.
Oh no.
That psychology exam I know. You imagine for someone who was such like a goody at the time. Yeah. My psychology exam came back at like a 60 something %. And I remember when I looked at that mark, my heart just completely sank because I was like, how could this have happened? Like, and the whole victim mode, like, why did this happen to me? I was so discouraged. But I was studying and I was putting in all of this work, but I wasn't doing it strategically. And so the good side of this is that the second exam that I did, instead of, just like saying that I was studying and, like sitting at the library and like reading, but like not actually really, really retaining the information, I started I started researching about it. And from there, my second exam, I had I think it was like a 92% that I managed to get onto my second exam. And then my third and my fourth, it was the same. They were all in like the 90s. And so I ended out the year with, I think, like a high 80 in the class. And it was such a turning point for me because that was in university, that was the turning point for me where I was just like, okay, it's not about how many hours you're working, it's about how strategically you're working.
Yes. Yeah, exactly.
And it works the same way in entrepreneurship, but it's a completely different dimension in entrepreneurship. Because in entrepreneurship you have your mindset as well, right? There's so many different facets. And I know that when we started working together, Jess, the mindset piece was something that you didn't even realize was an issue.
Yeah.
Do you want to talk a little bit more about that?
Yeah. So first of all, I'm glad that you ended up turning it around in university.
Thank you. I know, me too. Me too. So discouraging, but it ended on a happy note. So
it was a happy story. Yeah. So when I first started, and even before, like in my old business, like my copywriting business and all that stuff, like if you would have said to me, like mindset is 80% of business success, like I would have been like, oh my God, like just stop. Like I wouldn't have cared. Like that wasn't something that resonated with me, which is funny because like you're all about the mindset and I connected with you. So maybe it was like deep down within me all along. But yeah, when I got into it and when I started working with you, I remember there was a time, I think this is when it really started to shift for me because I was all strategy, but then I was struggling with getting discovery calls because I had booked those 2 clients like right away once I started shifting things. But then like after my next 2, so after my first 4 clients, like those just came so easy to me. And then all of a sudden it was like, I felt like I was going through a dry spell. I wasn't getting discovery calls booked. I was doing the same things that I had done before. I was starting to feel really desperate and really stressed out. And then I was like, why isn't this working? Like, I'm just like getting annoyed. And then I think we had talked about creating a mantra and taking yourself outside of your business to do an inspiring activity and all that kind of stuff. And I'm like, well, that's not going to work. And then, and then I had started doing it because honestly, like I'm investing in a coach and like, like my community, like the other girls in the mastermind and everything, they're like, no, this works. I'm like, okay. And so I started doing it and I started writing down a mantra of trust. I think it was trust that what you're doing is working and you're going to book 2 more clients this month. Those were my 2. And I had written those down every morning. And I would take walks by this little pond and I'd leave my phone at home. And I would just think about like all the things that I wanted to do. And like my mind just sort of naturally wanders when I like walk in nature. And I just would start to feel really inspired. I would like repeat the mantra to myself during my walk. And I think by doing that, things just sort of like I started showing up in my business differently instead of showing up in like a desperate state where I was doing all the wrong things. Like when you're showing up in your business where you're feeling desperate because things aren't working for you and you're feeling frustrated, those kind of emotions are going to be projected onto your community and they're going to be able to tell because the thing is like you're now not showing up in an aligned way and you're not showing up in the way that really resonates with your community. And in terms of your relationship building, it might not be sleazy, but you're not showing up in a way where you want to help people. You're just trying to get a sale. And that's not what really works. So anyway, by doing those little mindset techniques and everything, I started showing up differently. And then I ended up booking my next 2 clients. So I manifested that. That's super cool.
I love that. I love that so much because I'm also a huge strategy brain. And so strategy is something that comes so easily to me. It's like the very first thing that I think about. Which is why we often teach the things that we also need the most help with. And so when you said, like, oh, I'm all about the mindset, I was like, am I really? Am I
I
really
feel like
all
you
about the
are.
mindset? Yeah.
I feel like you're good at both. Like we obviously talk so much about like, strategy, like ads and all that kind of stuff. But like, I feel like you're a very like soulful person, like very like, I don't know.
Thank you. Well, thank
Yeah.
you. Yeah. And I think what that comes from is this whole acknowledgement of, and what I love to do with my clients personally is bring them through the strategic processes oftentimes first because you want to know how to do things. You want to create your automated funnels. You want to be able to do everything and just like understand how everything works, but then the implementation part of it, right? The actual, like what you're doing when you're getting on your discovery calls or what you're doing when you're posting or when you're going on live, a lot of that is mindset work as well. And once you have the strategic pieces in place, the mindset stuff is just, it's so much more important. And I think that's exactly what happened with you too, which was always so exciting to see because it's always really, really exciting to see the shifts that your clients can create. And I know that you've talked about this a lot too, and your clients absolutely love you. And, like there's a reason why you were able to sign on for clients with like your first month of working with me. It wasn't, it's not just because of my coaching, it's because of the type of person that you are as well.
Aw, thanks. That's so nice. I was going to say, what's funny too is with my clients, I'm naturally now, you're going to be proud. I'm naturally, like, obviously doing strategy with them, but it's shifting a lot now into more mindset. Like, a lot of my clients have a lot of blocks. And so I love addressing them or addressing those blocks with my clients because the thing is without addressing those mindset blocks and being able to push through them, it's really hard to focus on strategy and actually make it work. Like it's so hard because you're going to be so blocked. For example, like if you're somebody who, you're feeling discouraged because maybe like other people online are more experienced than you, so now you're not posting as much or whatever the case might be, then that's a huge mindset block that like needs to be addressed. So I love that you address both. And it's funny because I'm sort of naturally starting to do that as well.
Beautiful. I love that. I love that. And so, we've been talking about ourselves a little bit here. You've been talking about, like how you've enjoyed our coaching relationship. But one thing that you mentioned is that, like you were on the email, you were on email lists for so many different people and you ended up going with me.
Yes.
But there are probably other people who are also on a million email lists, right? And they don't end up going with me, which is fine because they don't 100% resonate with my message. What is some advice that you give, a newbie entrepreneur or someone who, has been struggling for a while and who's ready to get a coach? What advice would you give them in terms of like how you made your decision?
Oh my God, that's such a good question. And I have so many opinions.
Yeah. All right, let's hear it.
Yeah. So, so basically you're asking me like, what are some tips on choosing a coach?
Yeah. Or just even
yeah.
choosing your next investment too.
Oh yeah. Okay. So if you're newer or if you're somebody who's really struggling to make your business work and get clients, I honestly truly believe with like my heart of hearts that it's so important to have a coach. Like it is so important to have a coach. And I can't picture myself without some sort of support system now as I go through my business. And the thing is, just a little like branch here, just really quick. They're like 7-figure entrepreneurs have coaches. Like they have coaches.
Absolutely.
We are always evolving. We're always growing. We're always changing. Our goals are always changing. And it's so, so important to make sure that you're investing in yourself. But in terms of actually choosing one, I honestly think at the end of the day, you need to go with your gut. Like really, that it's as simple as that, because the thing is yes, whoever's listening to this right now is probably in some way, shape, or form interested in improving and growing and all that kind of stuff in their business. And chances are, like, whoever is listening, you're probably on a million different coaches' email lists, because that's just how it is, because you're downloading freebies and all this kind of stuff. But the thing is like, whose emails are you opening? Whose emails are you reading through? Whose like Instagram stories do you love watching? Who do you get excited about when you see them post? Whose like challenges are you participating in, and who's actually helping you? And I really think that it kind of comes down to who you actually feel connected with, and whose style resonates most with you. So something that I really liked with you was that I didn't ever feel like pushed, I guess is the right word. Like I never got like a pushy vibe or anything like that. Like it sort of just naturally happened. Like you treated me like you didn't treat me like a number or like a sale, if that makes sense. So if like, if that's something that's resonating with the people listening, like chances are like you probably don't like that either. Like when somebody slides into your DMs and like pitches a call with you and you haven't even heard of them before. But instead, yeah, but instead they're asking like how they can help you and things like that. Or like maybe like you complimented something on their Instagram story and now they're actually having a real human conversation with you and things like that. Like I really like that. And honestly, like just go with your gut. Like if you're thinking about a business coach, if there's somebody you feel connected with, there's probably a reason for it. And there's nothing wrong with just getting on a discovery call with them, and getting a good vibe from the person. And then you can make a more concrete decision.
Exactly. And I know that when I first hired my own coach, so I had a very similar experience to you where I was, like I had taken a few courses in my business and kind of, it got me so far in terms of DIYing everything. It didn't really get me that far, to be honest, but it never really does, right? It's the DIY can kind of only work for so long, especially if you want a big business, especially if you want to go for the 6 figures and the multiple 6 figures. And really, really make a huge impact. Like DIYing is so much more for someone who just kind of wants a side hustle. But when I was looking for my first coach, I remember like literally within 3 weeks of hiring her, I signed on 3 clients and like 3 packaged clients, right? It was huge. And I remember being her like, billboard, billboard client. She was even, she was even a little bit more of a newer business coach as well. But I remember looking at a few different people and kind of being on a few different people's email lists. And I just really connected with her. She was just, I kept on looking at her website. I kept on looking at her work with me page.
Yes.
Looking at a few other people, but I was like, nope, you know what? I'm constantly drawn back to her. And I think that that's probably why I got results so quickly, is because of the fact that I just, I resonated with her so much. And I remember too that a lot of the DIY stuff that I was doing in my business was very strategic, right? It was very like, I purchased a course on Facebook ads. I purchased a program on branding, right? Like it was all how, it was all within the how. And I think one thing that really helped me, and this is what really separates coaching from consulting and from mentorship, was just working on that mindset piece. And it's exactly what you said, like if someone would have told me at that specific point in time that my problem was not in, like I had just finished creating some Facebook ads that worked really well for me, right? So my problem was not in the strategy as much, even though it was like, there was still a lot of strategy that I needed to tweak. But my biggest problem was in my mindset. And once she worked on that with me, that was like, it was huge.
Oh yeah. I actually have a client right now who when we first started working together, she got results really quick as well. And then it was all of a sudden like a halt, and she was just feeling like how I was for a while, like really desperate. I'm like, I'm telling you, like, give yourself a break, go and take a walk, like put your phone down, go out and do something that's apart from your business. And she was so resistant. And then the next day I had a message from her and she's like, I got 2 discovery calls booked. I'm like, see, like it can be that easy.
Right. It's like, of course you did.
Yeah.
Right.
It's insane what happens when you allow yourself that break and when you do focus, like when you focus on your own self-care.
Exactly. And that's just, it's a part of, I think for a lot of us doers, that's a huge struggle, is just being able to let go a little bit more of the doing and the hustling, and focusing on the being, which is something that I teach so much. Even on this podcast, I have so many episodes on this podcast that are about being, and it's not, I don't attract people who are not doers, right? Like I attract people who are like me. I attract people like you, right? Who are already doing, right? Who are trying to figure things out on their own, but who do need extra support. And usually the extra support comes with strategy, but a lot of it comes with, like, how are you being in your business? How are you focusing on your mindset, like cultivating positivity, making sure that when you feel like nothing is working, that you can actually retrain your brain to understand that things are working, and then program even more advanced strategy to get everything happening for you. So it's so freaking important.
Oh yeah.
I know another thing that we wanted to talk about was just like the level of investment in your business, because I think that this is so freaking important. And I think that you were on one of my live streams that I did about this a few weeks ago, and it's so important to kind of to understand the level of investment needed to reach specific levels in your business. And one thing that I just started talking about, because I think this is literally so important, and this is one thing that one of my higher level coaches helped me with, and really helped me break into the multiple 6-figure mark, and multiple 5-figure months, which I wasn't able to do beforehand. But it's really this idea of, okay, well, where is it that you want to go?
Mm-hmm.
Right. And how are you making your financial investments, and how are you making your business decisions based on where you want to go? And so one thing that I learned not too long ago was this whole idea of, and I teach this in my Fully Booked formula, right? In terms of operations costs for your business, in terms of the taxes that are going out and all of that kind of stuff. One of the biggest things that I was introduced to was the CEO takes home 50%. Right? So whatever it is that you want your business to function at, the CEO is going to be taking home 50%. So even especially in the beginning, you're probably not going to be taking home 50%, because you want to make sure that you are growing your business. You want to make sure that you're getting your business to a level where it is becoming sustainable. But once that happens, as well as at every single up level, you're always wanting to make sure that, your investments are around like 20 to 30% of where it is that you want to be. And so if you think about a 6-figure business, right, like a 20% investment is $20,000 over the entire course of that year, right?
Mm-hmm.
How do you think about that now versus when you were really, really struggling? And what do you feel like has really shifted for you?
Oh yeah. So when I first started, before I guess I like officially started, because I honestly say that like when I officially started, when I hired you, because that's when I started seeing traction. But before that, I wanted to take a free pass wherever I could. I didn't want to spend any money. And the thing is I don't know like how passionate I can get here on this podcast, but it like,
yeah, go for it.
Okay, good. It literally drives me mental when people think that they can grow a profitable business, like when they're wanting to go bigger and it's not just a hobby, without spending any money. Because the thing is you have to. And when I first started, I was that person. Like I didn't want to spend any money. Like I would consider like something as small, like as getting a domain name, like a custom domain for my website. I'm like, do I really need to? I'll just use like the website. But like, no, like if you want to come across as a professional, you need to make professional moves and you have to make professional investments. So like as things as small as, a custom domain, your email marketing platform, your Google like G Suite or whatever, like, you know what I mean? Like these things you have to pay for. Your email address, like get a professional email address. These little things matter. But when I first started, I didn't want to do that. I wanted to do it cheaply and preferably free, without spending any money. And like, I think with you, that was one of my objections. I was like, I want to do it myself first. I want to try doing it myself first. But the problem was I started spending money. Like I started to invest a little bit on like the custom domains and the things like that, because at the end of the day, I was like, no, I need those things, but I don't need to get a business coach. I can do it myself. But it didn't work. Like it didn't work. And the thing is that I was spending money in all the wrong areas. And when you were saying about the courses, like how you invested in courses, a lot of new entrepreneurs do that. They'll like invest in courses and then they'll just sit there collecting dust. And now they have like a graveyard of courses that are never going to get done. And honestly, like when you invest in a coach and you need that extra support, it's so powerful and it's so helpful. And now, like with where I'm at now, I can kind of look back at all of these decisions that I was making and wasn't making and really feel like, okay, like if Jessica like 6 months ago was doing this, like I would have hired a business coach right away. I wouldn't have spent my money like on things before I was ready. I would have made like smart investments, which by the way, a coach can help you do and like help you come up with those decisions on like where you're going to invest on like other areas. But like when you're starting a business and when you want to grow it and see like the results that you're looking for, and you're not just thinking of your business as a hobby anymore, you need to make business investments. Like you have to. It is a non-negotiable. And you have to make some heavy investments sometimes. Like I'm not just talking about, a $10 a month like G Suite account. I'm talking about like investments that are actually going to shift the way that you do business. And in your heart, you probably know what those are. And they're supposed to make you uncomfortable. Like they should make you a little bit uncomfortable.
Yes, yes. And I feel like for so many people, this is like such an unpopular thing, right? Like no one wants to hear this. Or maybe some people do. Some people are like, like I'm ready for change. I'm ready to stop struggling all of the time. And this is just, it's an inconvenient truth. It's an uncomfortable truth, right? But I think that this is part of entrepreneurship, is really getting yourself uncomfortable, and making those uncomfortable decisions that are going to make all the difference, because without change, there's no growth, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And I say this all the time, but the reason why I love the kind of the 20% rule, and it's not necessarily a rule. You don't need to be spending 20% on your business, like 20% of what you want to generate on your business. Sometimes you might even, like I know some people who spend like 80%, right? And that's especially like very, very normal for a lot of people in their first year of business, because they want to get things off the ground and they're willing to do whatever it takes. It doesn't mean that every single year it's going to be, like 80% expenses. But it's a really, really smart thing to start thinking about, because even when I did this live stream, I was kind of floored. And to be honest, because I care so much about women's dreams and about what it is that people want to see come to life. I see so often this whole like, I want a 7-figure business in 5 years, or I want a 6-figure business next year. But if you look at the expense ratio, the investment ratio, and if you tell someone, okay, so if you were to spend $20,000 on your business to get the 6-figure business, would you do it? right? And so many of those people would be like, absolutely not. I don't have $20,000 to invest in my business. Are you crazy? Right? And then most of them, that's where their dreams just stop.
Yeah.
Right? That's where their dreams just completely stop. That's where people just get completely stuck because they can't make that transition from I've only made, like 0 or 500 or $1,000. And how can I possibly, you don't even need to invest that all at once, right? Like you can invest that throughout an entire year. You can invest, like $10,000 in your business to get, like a $50,000 business in your first year. And then you can go to the 20,000. So you can ladder yourself significantly. But at the same time, how much you grow also really, really depends on how much you're willing to invest. And it's kind of what you were talking about too, in terms of strategic investments, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it has to be smart investments. Like you don't just want to throw your money around without thought, thinking it's going to solve all of your problems, because it's not.
Exactly. Yes. And that's another really cold hard truth is that even if you invest in a coach, they're not going to be doing the work for you.
Oh my God, yes.
Right?
So important.
You can invest in copywriters, you can invest in a website designer, you can invest in all the different people that are going to help you run your business. But if you're not energetically there, if your mindset isn't in place, if you're not doing the work yourself, it's still going to be really hard for you to really attain everything that it is that you want to attain, right? Your heart has to be in it, your energy has to be in it as well. But when all of that happens, and all of that happened for you relatively quickly, like the results are incredible.
Yeah, exactly. And that's why, like, it's kind of like just a weird thing to say, but it's true. Like, you just want to make sure it feels right when you do make an investment and you know what you're going to do with that investment. I think that's so, so important because, like you said, you can hire a copywriter, a website designer, a business coach. But if you're not there, it's not going to be working for you. So you have to make sure that, like, what you're going to do with that investment and like what you want to achieve from it and like where you want to take it and all that kind of stuff. And that's super, super important because these people, like hiring these people and like spending this money, if you're just doing it as like a quick fix because you want to like basically you're not willing to put in the work to, I guess, elevate would be the right word, to elevate your business and like really see the results, you're going to have a hard time. Like you need to understand that investments are smart if they're the right ones and you know what you want to do with them, essentially.
I love that. I love that, Jess. I think that's so important because it's not just about throwing your money at the wall, right? And just kind of like throwing your money at your problems. Or throwing, your lines of credit or your credit cards at problems. It's about also fully committing to it, and that's why even the way I teach client onboarding and the way I teach sales processes is, what is your level of commitment to, right? Like even especially for everyone listening to this, if you're a service-based entrepreneur and you want to get high-end clients, you also want to ask your clients, what is their level of commitment, right?
Yes.
Like, what are they willing to commit to the equation as well? And that's going to really help to get clients who, get results because they're also putting in the work themselves. And it's going to help with your confidence and everything that you're doing with your business. So I love that.
Yeah, exactly. It's so, so important. The commitment thing that you just said is like key. So if like the people who are listening, like, I mean, if you're listening to this podcast, that's amazing. But I would love to know, like, if you're committed to your business and like if you really believe in your success and like how committed you are to getting that success. And then if the answer is like, I'm so committed, yay, like I'm ready to do this, then like ask yourself like what smart investments you've made in your business to really push yourself forward. And if the answer is little to none, I would challenge you on that.
Right. And if your investments are not at the level of what it is that you want to make within your business as well, I would also challenge you to that because it's such a hard truth, but like a $500 like a $100 investment in your business is going to get you, like maybe a $500 result. right?
Yeah.
Like
that's good.
if you want a $2,000 investment is going to get you a $10,000 result, right? So you really want to make sure that you're amplifying those investments depending on what results you want to get as well. And I say that with so much certainty and so much sincerity because, like when we're talking about these bigger numbers, when we're talking about this bigger impact, like it can no longer be something that's just like, oh, I'm just going to dibble dabble with, like this membership site or with this, this one, like self-guided program or whatever. Like, you need to put your money where your mouth is essentially.
Yes.
If you really want to create an impact, within your industry.
Yeah, exactly. I love that.
So that's what we're challenging everyone to today. So we're pressing all the buttons, but I love pressing the buttons because I really do think that this specific conversation is where like 90% of people just they don't end up quitting their 9-to-5s. They don't end up doing all the things that they want to do. They don't end up getting the 6-figure business that they really want because they're unwilling to see this shift.
Exactly. Yeah. Like I think we said it before in this interview at some point, but entrepreneurship should be a little bit uncomfortable. So, I mean, if we have to throw out uncomfortable questions at the world, I'm happy to do it if it makes a difference.
Exactly. I love it. Okay. Amazing. I'm so happy that you came on here and that we're having these like really uncomfortable conversations. But that people can also see like a completely different perspective of entrepreneurship than what everyone talks about. Because I think everyone usually talks about, oh, it's so easy. You can make it with so much flow. And like, all of this stuff is going to be so amazing. But a lot of the times we just don't talk about these things. So thank you so much for coming on here, Jess.
You're welcome.
Where can we find you? And what is it that you're up to right now?
Ooh, well, thanks for having me, first of all. I just launched a new video training. If you want to, like whoever is listening, yeah, I know, I'm so excited about it. It just feels so much more aligned with like who I'm trying to really connect with and what I'm trying to do to help. So it's all about 7 simple steps to 5K months in your online business. So if you're looking to hit those 5K months and then maybe you want to scale up a little bit later, then you definitely want to listen to my video training. I put my heart and soul into it. And you can find me on Instagram at Brave Digital Coaching. I'm really, really present there. Or in my Facebook group, which is Brave Women Who Hustle. So those 2 are the ones that I love the most.
Love it. And so we will include all of Jessica's links within the show notes. She is really incredible and she cares so much about what she does, which is probably why she's doing so well too. Thank you so much for being here, Jess. Maybe we'll have you on the show again. Let's see how everyone reacts to this episode. Yeah. But I'm sure that it's going to be a good one.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so glad I was able to chat with you today.
Hey, did you like or love this episode? If so, I would so appreciate it if you left a review and rated this episode on iTunes. It would literally mean so much to me. And if you have Instagram and are all up in your Instagram stories like I am, I would love it if you would share this episode with your beautiful followers so they can also get all of the high vibes, all of the free information that I'm giving you here. Thank you so much.
Thanks for listening to the Uplevel Your Online Business Show. If you enjoy our show and would like the show notes and free goodies about how to grow your online coaching business, head over to sarahjlorero.com for more information. We hope you'll tune in next time.